Everything's
And
going.
we're live.
And we're live. We're live.
Hi, guys.
Welcome to the Wandering Minds podcast.
I'm Lauren.
And I'm Brianna.
And I don't want to say we've wanted, making a podcast wasn't a goal of ours and not something we really, really wanted to do. But we both kind of feel stuck right now in our lives, I would say, career-wise at least. Mm-hmm. And we just want to get back into some fun hobbies and stuff we actually enjoy doing. And we spent how long thinking of a name for this?
Oh my God, a while.
A while,
yeah.
Because
several rounds of ChatGPT helping us out.
Yes. We were trying to figure out what a good name would be because we didn't want it to be too niche where, Crime Junkie podcast, love them, they're great, but that's all they focus on. Mm-hmm. I wanted it to be more broad, but also I think I mentioned it obviously can't be like Joe Rogan, who has just guests on every time, and they're talking for 3 hours.
Not yet. We'll get there one day, yes, but not yet. I think so too.
So we figured the Wandering Minds, which was a very good choice from the ChatGPT.
Yes, thank you, AI bots.
Because we kind of just want to cover a variety of different topics, and I feel like we're very curious humans, so...
And I think also going with the name Wandering Minds, wanting something to be a little bit more broad, the topics that we are interested in are so different between the two of us.
We started creating a list of what we wanted to talk about, and I immediately was like, true crime,
yes.
missing person cases.
And I'm like, meditation, the law of attraction, quantum physics.
Health and wellness. I'm like, yeah, sure.
And we're going to cover it all.
We are.
We're two girls in our late 20s, and we have been friends since we were 10 years old.
10.
And this is the spot where we're just going to lay it all out on the table.
Yes.
So welcome.
It's going to be hard being vulnerable, because I don't feel like we are very private people.
Yes. But
we figured for the first episode, at least, it would just kind of be an introduction to us and our friendship. We have some bullet points listed, so we're going to be looking at that and some questions to ask each other, just so you guys can kind of get to know us and what this podcast is going to be about.
Yes. Where do we want to start?
Well, let's start with the first bullet point.
Okay.
How we know each other, how long we've been friends, and who we each are.
Okay.
Lead the way.
This is so big of a question. That was a big first bullet point. And yes. Okay. So as I said in the intro, my name is Brianna. Lauren and I have been friends since we were 10 years old. We're now 29 and 28 years old. I had to genuinely think about that for a second. We're now 29 and 28 years old.
This year, I'm not.
I will. Yes. Yeah. You just wait. I'll be coming back at you next year when we're hitting your 30. And we live in southern New Hampshire in a very small town.
A very small farm town, and it's known as Cowtown.
Yes.
That's all you should know.
That's where we grew up. The town that we grew up in, this might give it away, had one blinking light. There were no traffic lights, a couple stop signs,
station,
2 general stores, and 1 pizzeria.
Yeah.
And we went to the same school from 1st through 8th grade, which I'm learning now as an adult that's not very common, depending on where people live.
I think they split after 5th grade.
Yeah.
Or 5th through 8th or something.
Yeah.
Well.
So yeah, I grew up with 4 houses on my street. I have a twin sister. It is just the 2 of us growing up. And this is so weird to talk about. I don't know what else to say about myself right now. I'm currently a yoga teacher, and I work in retail. I do visual merchandising for Kate Spade. And when I'm not at work and I'm not here with Lauren, usually we're out on a walk. But it's very cold out right now in southern New Hampshire in February. At the tail end of February. But yeah.
I know, it feels like an icebreaker.
It kind of does.
Start a new class.
Yeah.
I hate talking about myself too, because I feel like anything I say, it's not interesting.
I also just feel like when I do better with more guidance. So as we go through the questions that we have listed out, I think I'll do better with the answers. But just the general, who are you? I don't even know who I am, to be honest.
And I'm so private, I don't even want to say what I do. I'm a surgical scheduler, guys. That's all you need to know. Who we eat? I don't know. Next, pass, skip.
All right, perfect.
Okay, this was a good one. we wanted to describe how our childhood, teenage, and adult friendships varied, how they're different. Yeah, and how it shifted over the years.
Yeah.
So, childhood, us, I feel like, was just such a fun time. We were each other's only friend, pretty much.
Yeah. Only genuine friend, I'll say that.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
Where I didn't feel like the backup.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, as children, we would fill ice cube trays with orange juice, suck on those while we played Mario Kart. Was it Mario Kart?
It was Mario Kart. We would also play High School Musical karaoke.
Oh my god, yes.
I'm laughing though because it's like hearing this back, I'm like, I wonder how many people are gonna think this is such a weird childhood thing.
I
But like
know.
to us it was our norm, so we're like, yes.
And again, we grew up in Cowtown. There's not a lot to do.
Yeah.
So no judgment here. What else did we play? Oh, Wii Sports.
Yep.
We did that a lot. And then YouTube was
Guitar
just starting to
Hero.
be a thing around that time, like when we were 10-ish. And we watched a lot of Shane Dawson.
A lot of Shane Dawson, a lot of Fred. If Fred is
Oh
even
my
still
God.
around anymore, I don't even
I
know if
bought
he's still
his
around.
t-shirt.
You
Yeah.
We love it. Supporting with the merch.
Love it.
It's so nice.
That's really all we did was stayed inside and played video games.
Yeah. Our outdoorsy nature didn't come until a
It
little bit
didn't.
later. Yeah.
Teenage years. Well, the high school we went to was a stark difference from middle school. Our graduating class in 8th grade, we had 82 kids around there.
Yeah.
And then our freshman year, our class in high school alone had 900 kids.
Yes.
Just freshman year.
Yeah. Our entire high school was a little under 4,000.
Yeah.
In total. Yeah.
So that was a big adjustment. But I feel like our high school years were okay. We don't have to unpack
She says
everything
hesitantly,
right now.
yes, yeah.
But obviously in high school you meet a lot more people because there were people from several different towns who went to our high school. So not that we like drifted apart at all. We still remained friends, but I think we weren't as close during that time. But then after high school, I think we got closer again. And that was a fun time because I feel like you had moved out of your parents' house, I think when you were 18, right?
19. Yes.
19.
Going on 20. Yeah. It was
So
pretty young.
it was the start of us feeling like independent and doing our own thing. And then we turned 21, so we would go out drinking, but not like, that wasn't a huge deal to us.
No.
It never really has been.
No.
Oh, and this is where our love of nature came about. I think from your dad helped a lot with that.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad is very big into hiking and spending time outdoors and amongst the trees.
And again, since we don't really have many other friends, we would just hang out with her dad and go on hikes with him.
Yeah. And where we lived growing up too was a very rural area, so I think that helped as well. Like I was actually thinking about this not too long ago about where my love for taking walks comes from, and I genuinely think it does come from when I was growing up because there's not that much to do in a very small town, and I would just literally go on walks around my neighborhood, like with my neighbors, and just for no reason other than to just walk.
So her and I growing up lived in separate towns right next to each other during high school at least. We grew up in the same town. She walked to my house one summer day and it took her 2.5 hours.
I think it was about 10 miles.
We were both just bored. Did we not have our licenses yet? I don't
did
think
not
so.
have our license,
Yeah, because
no.
otherwise
Why would I
heck
walk
would you do
if I
that?
had a license?
But why didn't I meet you halfway?
I don't know. She was
Well,
not
that's
into
on
walking
me.
at that time. Yeah,
Guess
no, I don't
not.
know.
Guess not.
And then I feel like the biggest way I feel like our adult friendship has changed is, I think for me at least, you probably might have experienced it differently, is I feel like when we were younger, it was so easy also just because of our proximity to one another to just be in the same space. And like at that time, you don't have any real responsibilities. You don't have any other like relational obligations, like a spouse or anything like that.
That's true.
That there was not much to do other than just like hang out and play video games and play Wii or do whatever we would do.
That's so true.
We would like edit pictures on Picnic and like all that. Do you remember Picnic?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it's funny too because I was driving to work today and I was listening to an audiobook. And it's not about adult friendships, but there happened to be a chapter on adult friendships that I was listening to today. And one of the things that she talked about, which I really liked, is this perspective of like when you're a kid and a young adult, friendships are a group sport. And when you turn into an adult, they're an individual sport. And nobody thinks about that shift. Because I remember when we were growing up, I got a cell phone when we were, I think, 14. I was one of the last of my friends to get a cell phone. And I remember when I did, like, we would text every day, all the time. I'm just going to say it now because I see it in your face. I would send her double messages when she wouldn't answer me because I was so impatient after like 2 minutes of not responding.
But also, like, she would take her phone to the shower. She would be showering and get a text and, like, reach her arms out through the curtain and text back.
I clearly felt deprived as a child for not having a cell phone.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because I got my first, like, real working phone when I was a sophomore in high school. So it was around that time. And obviously it's a new thing to us, so we're obsessed with it. I remember I was attached to my phone.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you mentioned about us having like relationships now, we live in separate towns farther away than, you know, when we were growing up. So it is harder, but I think cheers to us for lasting through all of that.
I know. Cheers. Agreed. But I also,
it's really hard to do.
it is. And I also think part of the reason why we've lasted this long too is because we're able to tell each other things like that. And I feel like for me, it was very much an adjustment of learning like, okay, just because we don't talk every day doesn't mean she's not my friend anymore.
I know.
Those are literal thoughts that would like go through my brain. It's so silly.
Yeah, but hey.
It's so silly. But I feel like that's also just maybe more of a human instinct than we think of like this person's not responding and we think it's automatically because of something that we did when in actuality you're just like exhausted by life.
Yeah.
And like we all have so much going on that I think that's easier to understand too. And now that we are older and we have all of these other things, it's just like, okay, the season of our friendship is different, but that doesn't mean the friendship has changed overall.
Exactly. And yeah, I mean, I'll get home from work some days and I'm too drained to even, like, I just need to stare at a wall for like 10 minutes. And even just texting someone back takes so much energy out of me. So yeah, we went from texting every 2 minutes to every 2 days.
Yeah.
And it's
sometimes even like a week in between now. It literally will be like a week in between sometimes.
But we understand.
Yeah. And it just picks right up where we left off. Which is, I also think, how you know that you have a good friendship.
Yeah.
When you
and we also used to start a text off of being like, oh, I'm sorry, I was doing this, this, and this.
Yeah, we don't do that
came
anymore.
to a point where we're like, we don't care.
Yeah.
Like, we know life is busy. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
That's a nice understanding. It is.
Yeah.
Because it takes the pressure off, I think.
All right, so we have a list of questions to ask each other. And I didn't link where I got these questions. I think I literally Googled questions to ask childhood friend.
Okay, I did something similar too. And I sprinkled some of mine in there. And also just ones at the end that I thought of myself too.
Okay.
So it's a mix from Google and our own brain.
And we don't really have to answer all of them because right now I currently see about 20.
Yeah.
So... All right, what is the best advice a family member gave you growing up?
It's funny because the first piece of advice that comes to mind is like when I turned 18. So it's not even growing up. Yeah.
What was it?
I obviously received more advice growing up, but my parents sat down, my sister and I, and they were just very transparent about us entering into adulthood. And they were like, you two are 18 now. You're going to have your own... You're going to take your own actions. These are going to come with your own consequences. We'll be there, but know that you will now like fully reap these consequences because of these decisions that you make because you are 18. Yeah, and it just like, it didn't necessarily put any fear in me, but it made me realize just the seriousness of, I guess, growing up and the not always having your parents to bail you out of things. Not that I did anything that my parents needed to bail me out of because I was not a reckless child at all. But just to hear that that they trust my and my sister's decisions enough, and even when they didn't, they would still always be there, I think was the best support / advice that comes to mind.
I do like that.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, the only advice I can think of didn't even come from a family member.
Okay.
It actually came from another childhood friend of ours. He always said growing up, trust no one. So I always used to give him crap for that because I was like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? That's so negative. He was right. And I feel like...
You know who you are. If you're watching this.
I feel like I go with my gut feeling a lot now, and that helped a lot. Because I have become a very private person. I don't like everyone knowing my business. And I'm very selective with what I tell to certain people. So I fully trust like my good close friends, but I don't know. I feel like it's true. You shouldn't trust everyone you meet because a lot of people are backstabbers and don't have good intentions, and you have to find that out. What?
Keep going.
No, what?
This is where I think some of our opinions are differing. Because I'm the opposite. Even though I've had multiple experiences of my trust being backstabbed or going the wrong way, like my initial instinct is to trust someone until they prove me otherwise.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, I feel like I'll spill my guts out to a stranger who I'll never see again versus someone who's been in my life for years.
That makes sense though.
Yeah.
Because you're never going to see them again.
That's true.
So there's not a tie to it.
Yeah.
And there's no like, you don't have that type of rapport or intimate relationship, so I don't think you necessarily care about their opinion as much,
Yeah,
like, even if
true.
it's subconscious.
I had an old coworker who would just gossip 24/7, talk behind people's backs. So obviously I knew she was doing that to me. So I learned very early on, okay, I'm not going to tell her anything personal about my life, because if I'm ever on her bad side, Lord knows what she's going to do with that information. So
Yeah. And I think it's also, too, the older I get, the more I realize, like, and it really is a privilege to get to know someone like that and to hear everything that's going on in their life. And your energy is so finite and so precious that you don't have to spread yourself thin to give everybody a little piece of you. I think, like, at one point in my life, I tried to do that for everyone, and now I'm like, I'm tired.
Never again.
I'm tired,
Never again.
Never again. Okay. Question number 2. What's one thing you would change about yourself right now? Your shoulders just dropped.
I can think of a lot.
Okay, how about the first one that comes to your mind?
About myself or like my situation? It says yourself.
Either one. It's our show.
Yeah.
Either one.
Hell.
Either one.
So, I literally just said it probably 20 minutes ago that I am sick of living in an apartment. I just want to have a home. And I've lived on my own for 4 years now. This is my second apartment. I feel like I'm at that age since we're entering our 30s. Like, I just want to be in a place I can call my own, start my little family, because that's a thing that I feel like will fulfill me. Like, my job isn't right now. Pretty much nothing else is. So I feel like that's my purpose right now, and that's what I need. But life is expensive, and in this housing market, that's probably not possible, especially where we live in the Northeast. It's probably one of the most expensive areas in the country.
Yeah. I actually just saw a news article before I came over here that did the number of hours one would require, it would require one to work in order to afford an average rent. And this is at minimum wage, so $7.25. And if you live in the state of New Hampshire, which we do, it would take 224 hours in a week, which is more than how many hours are in an actual week for one to comfortably afford an apartment on minimum wage. Just to give you guys a gauge of how expensive it is to live where we live, yeah. And it's not nearly...
the minimum wage is $7.25 still in New Hampshire?
Yeah. Everybody else is they pay $15 for the most part. I don't know if anybody ever actually still pays $7.25.
That's crazy.
But legally it's still only $7.25.
Oh my goodness.
Which has been the same since I got a job well over a decade ago.
Yeah, seriously.
It hasn't changed.
That's so crazy.
I know. Yeah.
So yeah, my living situation. There's a lot of other things, but that's the first thing that comes to mind.
I think that for me, the first thing that comes to mind is I want to change the amount of time that goes by between when I think about doing something versus when I actually do it.
Oh, that's a good one.
Because I think sometimes, especially in the winter, not that it's an excuse, but I'm using it as an excuse right now, but when it gets dark at 3 p.m. and it's well below freezing all day, and like you wake up when it's dark and you leave work when it's dark, it's very hard to want to do anything aside just barely survive. So I think for me right now, it would be, and I have been working on this, is like when I think about doing something in the moment, as soon as I think about it, I've been trying, or at least do the first step of it. Like I had been telling Lauren I'd been making a lot of different appointments for myself that I had been putting off, and including my taxes, which we finally did, but I had put these things off for so long, and then one day I woke up and all of a sudden I just had the motivation to do it. And I don't know if it was just because I was tired of putting it off on myself for so long, or like just sick of using that as an excuse. I don't really know what it was, but I think that would be the one thing, is changing the amount of time between. Yeah.
I'm such a procrastinator. It's so bad. I'll have all of these things I need to do, and I think about it, and then I get overwhelmed, so then I don't do it. But what you mentioned about even just doing the first step, say I need to do laundry, I'll think, so my apartment now, another thing I don't like, there's no in-unit washer and dryer, so I have to go outside and go down into the cellar to access it, which first world problems, I know. But my first apartment, it was in unit, so it's just been an adjustment. And especially when it's a blizzard outside and it's freezing cold, I don't want to do it. But anyway, so yeah, I think about how I have to do laundry, how I might have multiple loads, I have to go outside, and then I have to put it away. If it comes into my brain, just do the first step, just put a load in. And then I'm going to have to finish it because I share with the downstairs tenant, so I can't just leave it in there.
Oh, that's
which
actually kind of nice.
Helpful.
Yeah.
It has pros and cons.
Pros and cons, for sure. No, I like that, though. And, yeah, you have to be on it then, sharing it with someone else in that space. You have to be very mindful of that, too. No, that's great.
Yeah, not bad.
I love it. Next.
Ooh, how would you rank your love languages? So there are 5 of them. Acts of service, quality time, receiving gifts, physical touch, words of affirmation. I know what your number 1 is.
What? Because I think it's changed.
Really?
Maybe not.
I think your number 1 is words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So...
It is. It's words of affirmation and also quality time. Those are my top 2. Receiving gifts, meh, I don't really care about. Acts of service is another, I guess, my 3rd one, and then followed by physical touch. But yes, I grew up in a household where my mom and dad did not hear I love you every day, so they made sure my sister and I did. And I am so grateful for them. Thank you, Bonnie and Eric, for that. Yours is acts of service. Is that your first one?
Yeah, because words of affirmation, that'd probably be in the middle of my list. Receiving gifts is absolutely last. Could not care less about getting gifts. I don't care. I would choose acts of service over words of affirmation because to me, you can say all you want, but it's your actions that prove your words. So, talking like in words of or in means of a relationship, I don't need to hear my fiance say I love you 20 million times a day, but he'll show me in other ways. He still to this day, we've been together over 5 years. He opens the car door for me every single time. He'll, do the dishes if I don't feel like doing them. Just little stuff like that. That's how I know he loves me. I don't care to hear it 20 times a day. That's just me. And then, okay, my fiance says that physical touch is my number 1.
Interesting.
Around him, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Even if I'm just like...
I do that too!
So with him, it's physical touch is probably my number 1. And quality time is really important to me, even with, friendship too. So in order from best to worst, probably... Oh, that's tough. Probably, acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch, and then receiving gifts last.
Mm-hmm. So basically, we're just never going to get each other gifts again.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we'll be so content. Okay, next one. Do you believe in having a 5-year plan?
Nope.
Same.
I do to an extent. Like when they always ask you, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I love to live in fantasy land.
Me too.
I would love to be living in a different state and have a family and a better job and blah, blah, blah. But is that realistic? Who knows? And I hate saying that I don't like to set goals for myself, but I really don't, because then if I don't meet them, I feel like complete shit about myself. I don't know. I don't like to have my life planned out. I'll say that.
Yeah, I feel the same. I also think I change my mind about everything every 2 seconds. So
Same.
I don't really know what I feel like at one point in my life I wanted to do something probably different than what I want to do now, and I don't even know what I want to do in 10 years from now. And maybe brainstorming out loud now, this could probably be contributing to us feeling stuck somewhat in our lives now that I'm thinking about it.
100%.
But
all my hobbies really are fleeting. Like, I'll be super into something for a short amount of time, and like you said, after like 2 months, I don't care about it anymore.
You know what?
I want to fix that.
Somebody that I was listening to was kind of talking about this, something very similar. And one of the things that they brought up is like, what did you used to do when you were a kid that you loved to do for fun?
All I did was read and write.
Okay. So do more of that. The things that brought you joy as a kid.
I know.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking that the other day too. And like I mentioned earlier, some days after work I'm so drained that I don't have the energy to do any of the stuff I like to do, which sucks. I would love, my ideal life would just be to like do this podcast, start like, hit it big with my ASMR channel, and it's so weird to me because I hate being on my phone and I don't really like the idea of social media, but that's the kind of life I want, is to have my job be a content creator.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
That's interesting. No, I feel the same way though too, because I think it's also what comes with that. Of
that's what it is.
There's location freedom,
Flexibility.
there's time freedom. Yeah, you can do whatever you want. And also it's for a bigger purpose. Like when you're an employee, which we both are in our full-time jobs, we both work for someone else. Like we're making someone else rich, and we're fulfilling someone else's dream right now, as opposed to fully fueling ours.
Yeah.
Which it is still on the side. But I totally agree, because I also don't like social media, and I can't even say I don't like it. I feel uncomfortable with the idea of putting myself out there on social media. That's what it is. It's not that I don't like social media. I actually think it's a very beautiful thing, and it's a wonderful way to connect with people that I would never have met otherwise. But I think for me too is like, if I think of my dream life, it's like running a retreat center or like hosting retreats full time, because I love that communal aspect of it. Maybe maybe this is also like in part of what we're searching for, is like we're trying to build a community that we don't feel like we have here necessarily.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. It could be. But for me, I think also too is like where pieces of that come from is like growing up, kind of like Lauren mentioned, is like we were like each other's only friends. I never had, aside from, this doesn't include Lauren, aside from her, I never had healthy female friendships until I was in my early 20s. Like I never really had that growing up in middle school and in high school. Like I was severely bullied in middle school, and I was definitely the backup friend in high school, and like was no one's first priority. And that included myself. I didn't even make myself my own priority at that point, because you just get so consumed in everyone else's opinions that like when I think about something that feels like it would fulfill me on a soul level, it's that level of genuine community.
Yeah.
Is I feel like what I'm searching for.
Yeah.
Even though it's scary because I'm very introverted.
I know. It's so contradictory, but
it is.
I feel like moving to a different state will create more opportunity for myself, at least. I don't know why. But as I was saying earlier, there's another ASM artist, Haley Jean, check her out. Love her. She also creates like daily vlogs, and she lives in Utah, And even just seeing the mountains in the background of her video, it's like, I want to live there. I want to live there where it's warm and sunny all the time, and I have more energy, and I can go out and do things that I can't do now because I have to ask to take time off, which is so dumb to me. But also, like, content creation, it's not sustainable financially. Like, if my fiance could take care of both of us, hell yeah, I would quit my job and I would just do that. But neither of us can support each other on just one of our incomes, which sucks. So, like, realistically, I don't think I can do it.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Not never. Sorry. When we were younger, Lauren also used to get really mad because I would try and make things too positive. So, working on that. That's what that was.
I know. It's so funny because I used to get pissed, but, like, now I do the same thing. You were 10 years ahead of your time. But I would, like, be venting to her about something, just super pissed off, and she would just be like, oh, but just think of it this way, or, like, turn it into something positive. I'm like, dude, let me be mad. Let me feel these feelings.
You can, 100%.
Yes. But now I do the same thing that she was doing back then, where it's like, if I do have a negative thought, I try and spin it into something positive, or, like, what I'm grateful for.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we have everything we could ever ask for.
I know. Like, every time I complain about something, it literally is a first world problem.
Yeah. Yeah. Internet, please don't come after us for saying this. But we're very aware of our privilege here. We are. Yes. And the fortunate lives that we both have here in New Hampshire, even though it's incredibly expensive. Yeah.
Ooh. What has been your favorite travel memory so far?
Ooh.
You probably need more time to think about it. She hosts yoga retreats across the globe, and it's linked, it's through Adventure, and it's linked in our description if you want to check it out. You've been to 8 countries?
7.
Yeah. Name them.
Yeah, when I go to, okay, so I've been to Egypt, Costa Rica, Peru, Portugal, Italy, Canada, Guatemala, and then this year in May, I'll be going to Greece on another retreat. So that'll be my 8th country.
So cool.
And it, I don't even know how to talk about it. I just like, yes, definitely check out Adventure. Well, I think also, like, favorite travel memory, the first one that comes to my mind. So it was October of 2023 and I was in Egypt. And I did a sunrise hot air balloon ride over the Valley of the Kings. And it took us over where...
What is the Valley of the Kings, for those who don't know?
So the Valley of the Kings is this area in some part of Egypt geographically. I'm not sure the location off the top of my head.
Part of it?
Maybe. It's near the Nile, which any part of it. Yeah. But it is an area of temples that were built underground as opposed to being built from the ground up. They were built all completely underground, and this is where they found King Tut, and they have found, I believe, one of the King Ramses was buried there as well. I can't remember the rest of them off the top of my head, but there are some very well-known pharaohs and kings that have been buried there. And when you take the hot air balloon ride, it was the first time any of our groups had ever been able to do it because it's always weather dependent and it had always been too windy. But we went up at like maybe 5 p.m. It was still pitch black out when they started setting up our hot air balloons. The hot air balloon basket was huge also, which I wasn't expecting.
They are.
There was like 20 of us in one basket, and it was a little shocking. But the liftoff was so smooth, I didn't even feel that we lifted off the ground until I peered over the edge and we were already 20 feet off. But it just took us over the Valley of the Kings. You could see Queen Hatshepsut's temple, which was also built into the side of a mountain. And we'll include some pictures here on the little side screen of this video, just for reference. But what surprised me was such a contrast of desert and farmland. So where we were, it was almost like right down a line down the middle. It was desert and sand and all of these dry temples on one side, and then the other side, it was just lush farmland and miles and miles and miles of sugarcane. And it was the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. It was sunrise. Yep. Yeah, so we watched the sun come all the way up, and it was probably one of the most beautiful things I've seen. Yeah. It's hard to narrow down my favorite, but that is the first one that comes to my mind.
I almost died on a hot air balloon ride, so I'm not even gonna...
Yeah. Mixed opinions. That's a
I went to Italy with her last summer through Adventure, and that was the first and only country I've been to, other than the U.S., obviously. So I've traveled a lot domestically within the U.S., and there's not one specific memory. I guess I'll kind of combine them from like a few different states because they're all the same thing. I loved going on national park vacations. It's my favorite thing. And every time I go on one, I like to stargaze because there's minimal to no light pollution in any national park. So was it Arizona, the Grand Canyon, and then Yosemite in California. So the first time I went to the Grand Canyon was back in 2018, and we went to some viewpoint. I don't know what it was, but the second I stepped out of the car, I literally thought I was in space.
Oh my
I had
God.
never seen so many stars in my life. That was the first time I've seen stars twinkle. I felt like I could just like reach out and touch them. And the viewpoint we were at, it was 360 degrees, so I just laid out there. There were a bunch of other people out, like photographers and stuff. And it was the friggin' best. It was so cool. Like your first time seeing a night sky like that is incredible. And then the second time I went to the Grand Canyon, I went with one of my girlfriends a few years ago. And what was weird is this was in 2021, so almost 2 years. It was September 21, almost 2 years after COVID first happened. So we didn't think it was going to be super busy, but it was around sunset, and we weren't on a trail. There was like the rim trail that goes across the top of the canyon, and you can hike down a little bit. There was this rock formation that jutted out. So her and I were just laying there for hours watching the sunset and just talking, and no one else came.
That's amazing.
Actually, there was one guy who came. He was probably in his 60s or 70s, and he was barefoot and just like a hippie. You could tell.
Living his life.
And I forget what he said to us, but it was the typical, like, rock on, guys. Like, have a good night. And we're like, you too, dude.
Rock
Like, thank
on.
you. And
Peace
then,
and love.
yeah. And then my fiance and I went to Yosemite in 2022. And we did a little hike. I don't know if any of you have ever been there, but there's a viewpoint called Tunnel View. You literally go through a tunnel, and it opens you up to a view of El Capitan and Half Dome and the valley. And that part is very popular and crowded, but if you hike up, it's like a mile total. It's right above that parking lot, still the same view and everything, but much better, obviously. And we were there also for sunset and stargazing, also for another 3-4 hours. This time, literally no one else came. It was just us.
Wow.
It was beautiful, and I got a time-lapse video, and I love it.
That is
I'd say
so
that's my
beautiful.
favorite, is just stargazing.
There's something so special about just staring up at the night sky. It makes me feel so small, but in the best way.
We used to go to the beach a lot and do that,
Yes.
too.
Yeah, still do sometimes.
Yeah.
I love going to the beach at sunset. I love
Okay. What's your zodiac sign, and does it resonate with you?
it. Okay, so
And I specifically put this in there. I wanted to talk about it because you are your zodiac sign,
I know.
to a T. I don't think I resonate with any of mine.
really?
So, yeah. But see, this is the thing. Other people will talk
I
to
do.
me about how they perceive me.
Yeah.
And we all perceive each other a lot differently than others do.
Yeah,
But when my friends describe it, I'm like, oh, okay, like I can see that.
yeah.
But okay, we'll start with you.
Okay.
You're a Sagittarius.
I am a Sagittarius, and most of my chart is Sagittarius.
Yeah.
I have a Sagittarius sun and rising, and a Taurus moon.
Which, can you explain what that is? I literally
can
just
try.
talked to my friend
I'm such
Savannah
an
about
amateur.
this. She's super into this, my friend Savannah. So I think she said your sun,
Yeah,
your Sagittarius sun, I'm Aries sun.
that's where you're born.
Yeah.
The sign you're born into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's like how others perceive you.
Yes.
Your moon is how you really are. Like when you're by yourself, like 100%,
Yep.
that's who you are.
It's more of your emotional side, your moon. Yep.
Yeah. And then rising.
Is how the world sees you.
Wait, no, I think rising's the emotional part.
I'm not.
Like how you regulate your moon.
No, I think that's the moon.
Oh.
I'm pretty sure it's the moon. It would make sense with lunar
Pulse,
energy.
please.
Yes.
What does... Okay, so sun sign represents your core identity, ego, and motivations. Moon sign reveals your emotional needs, instincts, and subconscious mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it reflects who you are on the inside. And then your rising sign speaks to your outward persona, first impressions, and how others see you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, with the Sagittarius, these positive traits we have are adventurous, optimistic, free-spirited, wow, curious, and honest. The negative traits, which I started laughing because, like, I even really relate to the negative ones. Clumsy, restless, and boastful. I'm ruled by Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion and good fortune, and then they are incredible storytellers, entertainers, and creatives.
Like, that's 100% you.
I appreciate that because I feel like my creative spark is not what it used to be. I feel like I'm trying to get that back. So thank you. But I definitely agree with the adventurous and free-spirited and curious part of
and
that.
Optimistic.
Yes, that's it. Okay.
I say that as, like, that's a bad
yes.
thing.
No, I definitely relate to all of these. I feel like even from when I was a little kid, was like constantly changing around the furniture in my room to give it a new feel and wanting to freshen it up. Yeah, every time you would come over, it would be like a different layout. The bed would be in the middle of the room one time. And I think that I always crave adventure and I crave newness or new experiences. So as introverted as I am, I love to put myself in situations that are new for me, especially by myself. Like, I genuinely enjoy to travel alone for that reason because I feel like it helps me understand myself on a deeper level without any excess noise of someone else around me.
I want to do that at some point, travel somewhere by myself.
You should.
I think I have enough now where I would feel comfortable navigating an airport that I've never been to, and
they're all the same.
Yeah, they are.
They're all the same. Even in another country, they're all the exact same. You'll be able to make your way around anywhere. But with that, though, I definitely feel like I get restless, and I am clumsy as hell. I can't even walk in a straight line without, like, bumping into stuff. The restlessness is definitely a piece that I resonate with, and I don't actually know what I attributed it to. I never really thought about it, but I can get, with that constant craving of adventure, I can get bored very easily. And it's actually really funny because my sister sent me, my phone's up there. Aww. My sister sent me a screenshot of something on Instagram, and it was like, so the running joke in my early 20s was like, with my sister and her friends, it's like boys would fall in love with me.
Yes. Whenever
we would go anywhere. And my sister sent me a screenshot of this guy looking at like an incoming FaceTime call, and it says, "Oh, you're looking at your phone because you're looking at your phone because you made two people fall in love with you when you were bored." And I was just like, oh my God, I relate to this. So I'm saying it wrong. I'll show you it after. But yes, I can definitely get bored very easily, and I don't give myself, I think, the time to fully master something because of that. Because I can tend to just want to move on to the next thing and try something else and not see anything through until completion, which is not always a good thing. Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm an Aries.
Yes.
Born in April.
Both fire signs.
Yeah, and it's so funny because Savannah, like I said, my other friend, she's super into this. And she was like, I was scared to be your friend because I'm an Aries and she apparently doesn't vibe well with them. I don't know. But she was looking at my chart and I have an Aquarius rising, I think it is. She said I have some other water signs mixed in, which helps balance me out with my fire Aries. So, positive traits, again, I don't feel like I resonate with any of this. Positive traits are energetic / passionate, adventurous, and loyal. Okay.
Yeah, what do you mean? You're seeing it now.
I am.
Good.
Energetic, I wouldn't say that. Passionate, yes.
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 Adventurous, yes.
I'm adventurous in the sense I do love to travel, but I like to, like with hiking and stuff too, I like to do crazy trails like that. Like I did Half Dome in Yosemite and Angel's Landing in Zion, which is so freaking cool. I love doing stuff like that. And I actually am very loyal.
Yes.
very loyal. Anyway, negative traits. The first one is impatient.
Which is so spot on.
Aggressive and fear of failure. Okay, disregard everything I said prior to this.
She
am an
agrees,
Aries
yeah.
through and through. I am impatient as blank. Yes. So bad. It's so bad. And I don't know where that comes from.
She has a Sicilian mom.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think it comes from that
That's
a little
true.
bit. Yeah.
Aggressive? Am I aggressive?
I don't think so. You're not to me.
And fear of failure. 100%. Who isn't? I mean, come on.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like it should be
But also,
sign specific.
the fear of failure, I also connect to having an Italian family.
Mm-hmm.
Because their number one thing is they want to please other people and, like, come off and have people perceive them as, like, perfect, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So I think growing up, I had a very big fear of failure, especially because all throughout high school, I was in honor roll.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I got to college, that dropped off.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, just that change, I was like, oh my God, I'm not myself anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what happened to me?
Mm-hmm.
Life's hard. Ruled by Mars, which is the planet of action, passion, and drive. Oh, yeah. Okay, so some other traits of Aries, it says, like, you're super motivated and a natural born leader. And I'm like, I'm not.
I can see that in you, though. I can see the leader. What?
Really?
I can, yeah.
I can't.
Because I feel like you have such a clear picture of things. And I feel like you take the time to really explain things in a way that most people don't.
Like what?
Let me think of something. Okay, Emily, if you want me to get specific, let me think.
Okay.
That's so...
No, I'm the same way. If someone asks me to give an example, I won't have one.
Yeah.
But I know it's true.
It's so true, yes. Because I feel that about myself, too. Like, I feel like I used to get really insecure about my ability to be a leader. And now the older that I get, and maybe it's just also, like, confirmation I get from people on my team, too. But I feel like I had a conversation with my dad once where we were talking about this, and I just looked at him and I was like... I'm meant to lead people, aren't I? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, okay. We'll get there eventually.
Oh, yeah, the next thing, it says they are often natural leaders who are passionate about their goals. I just got finished saying I don't like setting goals for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I don't think you have to resonate with all of it, though. But I definitely think some of the traits are very accurate, in my opinion.
I do agree.
Of knowing you since we were 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a break up with a friend, and what was it like? Plenty.
Yeah, but now that I think about it, I feel like I just ghosted them. And didn't actually... or it was just a mutual agreement to, like, disconnect.
Yeah.
Not like me having to sit someone down and being like, I don't want to be your friend anymore. It's more of a like, hey, I think we both recognize our friendship is not what it used to be, and like we're just both growing in different directions.
And that happens. But there have been a few people, like there was a friend, I was very close with her through middle and high school, but she started hanging out with, I don't want to say a bad group of people, because I used to hang out with them as well. But we just, again, weren't aligned at that time. They just became druggies pretty much. And I knew it was just a bad crowd. I didn't want to be with them. And good thing, because she got arrested.
Is she still in jail?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry. There was another friend, too, going back to... I don't actually think we even mentioned this, but effort has always been big to me in any kind of relationship. And with this specific friend, I started to notice, I'm always the one to reach out. Huh?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm always the one to reach out. I'm the one to ask him to hang out. So I did a little experiment, and I said, I'm just going to stop reaching out to him to see if he reaches out to me. And we haven't talked in a decade.
Holy shit.
So, which, like... I was really hurt when it first happened because him and I were super close too for a long time.
Yeah.
And then for him to just kind of not care anymore, I don't know. That sucked. But
No, it does. It's hard. Especially when I think as we get older, it'll start to be easier too. But I think also, like, those are some of your first real friendships. And, like, that means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard to move on from, especially when you're just not connecting in that way anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I am also no longer friends with someone that I was really good friends with when we were in middle school and high school. Mostly just because she was just, like, very mentally unwell. And
say no more.
I wish we were recording that video. But it was the same thing. I found that, like, I was the one to always reach out and want to initiate plans, or whenever I did, like, something completely catastrophic was always going on in her life that I just was never able to, like, be a kid around her, essentially, because I was on suicide watch, like, at, like, 14 years old, which is ridiculous. Yeah. So I think, like, that we kind of just naturally shifted apart. And honestly, I'm grateful for it, but it's at the same time, it's like, I wish no ill intent on these people. Like, I still send them love and wish them well, but it's from a distance, and I don't need to keep up with their lives anymore.
Exactly.
And it feels much better to not have to keep up with their lives anymore.
I like this question.
Back in the game.
What's your favorite quality of mine?
Oh, okay.
Can I go first? 'Cause I already know.
Oh, okay.
There's, like, so many, but one that comes to mind is, okay, so you're the type of friend down for anything, and I fucking love that. I feel like, no hate to any of my other friends, but I feel like they're so picky with, like, certain things that they want to do. I could literally text Brianna and say the most outlandish thing, and I'll be like, can you accompany me? And she'd be like, hell yeah, like, when and where? And I love that. You're always down for that.
It's the Sagittarius in me.
Oh my god, it is.
It
That's so
is.
true. But also, another thing I love is that with you, I can be my complete self. We've been friends for so long. You've seen every side of me. You've seen every stage of me. It's like, no judgment at all. Pretty much every time we hang out, we end up sobbing over, like, something, because we can have those deep conversations, and I love it.
Me too. I love it. I was going to say that is definitely one of my favorite characteristics and qualities about you is your heart, because I feel like I know you are your own worst critic, but I don't see you in any light other than, like, short of amazing, because you are genuinely so kind and you put everybody else above yourself, even though I'm not saying you should do that, because you should put yourself up there too. Are the tears coming? It's okay, they can go.
That's so sweet.
And I feel like just watching you develop your relationship with yourself over the years has been so inspiring for me, because, like, watching you get really healthy and fix your eating and just get more into fitness and, like, really start doing the things that you love have been wonderful for me to watch, because I don't necessarily, I feel like, give myself the same permission that you do in that sense, and it's something that I've been trying to work on. And it just, you just have such a beautiful heart. And you are so kind, and I don't think that you give yourself enough credit for that.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. That was a good question. I'm glad you put that in there.
Oh, love it.
And this won't be the first time that we cry on film, FYI.
No.
Or on video. Not film, but... Why did you say, oh God?
No,
the next one?
because I had to move myself like that.
Oh, this is a good one. How can I be a better friend to you? What?
That question should have come first.
Okay.
Because we both, like, love on each other, and then we'd be like, here, bitch, this is what you need
Here's
to
the
change.
feedback. We just compliment sandwich. There we go.
No, literally the only thing I can think of, and we've had conversations about it, going back to the effort thing. I'll talk to you directly.
Okay! I'm so nervous now.
No, it's
I'm
just
kidding,
like
I'm kidding.
when you cancel plans last minute.
Oh, I know.
This is literally the only thing I can think of,
Yeah.
so that's saying something.
I feel like I haven't done that in a while.
No,
though.
you haven't.
Okay, thanks.
But
I went through a phase.
You did go through a phase.
Uh-huh.
And I know shit happens, stuff comes up, but I would appreciate more notice.
Okay.
That's it.
I can do that. Easy.
That's it. Because there was one time you texted me like 2 hours before we were going to meet up, and you're like, So I'm like, well, now what am I going to do? But I'm just like, okay.
I'm so sorry. Oh my God.
That's literally it.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Not bad.
I could do that. That's fair. I have been known to be flighty a time or two in my life. Ask any of my ex-boyfriends. It's fine. Or anyone that even showed slight interest in me. It's fine.
I know. Once you're lost interest, you're like, bye.
Bye. Or when I feel like they have more interest than I do, I get scared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get scared.
Yeah.
But that's a podcast for another day. Oh, man. That's fair. I can do that.
But I feel like that's not even being, like, a better friend. Because it's not like I'm asking you to, like, change or improve a quality of yourself, you know?
Yeah. The only thing that I can think of, and it, like, kind of ties with our next question, which is, like, if you were to move away, how would you think our friendship would change?
Mm-hmm.
Is, like, if that were the case, I would ask for, I think, like, more consistent communication between us.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
via text.
Yeah. No, I would
wouldn't have the luxury to be able to get together.
Yeah.
Depending on our schedules, we see each other, like, once a week, sometimes less, sometimes
like,
more.
Once
depending
every other couple
weeks. Depending on the season. But I think if we did not live in the same state, I would need to be better about communicating, and I think you would. We would just need to be on our phones more, even if it's just like every Tuesday night we're gonna FaceTime.
Yeah,
there's something like that,
mm-hmm.
just to like, I think keep it consistent to make sure that we talk to each other. But I honestly can't think of anything either.
Yeah, because I really do want to move out of state.
Yeah.
And with my fiance's job, he can work anywhere in the country, which is nice. So if and when that happens, I'm going to take that opportunity.
As you should. Spread your wings.
Yeah. Even if it's just for a year. I just want to see what it's like.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm always going to come back to New Hampshire because it's home, but I won't know unless I go somewhere else.
That's true. That's so true.
What keeps you going on hard days? Trying again to be grateful for what I have.
Mm-hmm.
Because some days, honestly, taking vitamin D has helped me a lot. I feel like I would just have seasonal depression because, again, where we live, it's dark all day. And I feel like I would literally become depressed and a hermit and not talk to anyone and not do anything and feel like my life sucked when in reality it doesn't at all. I could have it so much worse. I could live in a third world country and not have water or a house or, food. And so, yeah, trying to turn stuff that I'm complaining about into what I'm grateful for instead has helped a lot. And thinking about where I'm at right now in life, I would say, helps me.
That's a good one.
Because it's not necessarily where I want to be, but I'm on my way to where I want to be.
And you're also at the point where, like, past Lauren only dreamed of being where you are now.
Yeah, true. Very true.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, I like that. I think snuggling with my dog helps me through hard days. Yeah. That was, like, the first thing that came to my mind is just, like, the people that I have at home. So Brendan and Luna, basically, my dog and my boyfriend, they help me get through hard days. Even just knowing that I can just, like, go home and just, like, snuggle into both of their arms, and it just, like, I forget all of my problems when I'm home. And I feel very grateful to have a home like that, where I feel that sense of safety and, like, being able to retreat to. What else? I think talking to a friend helps me, even though I don't always do that when I'm having hard days. But reaching out to someone when I need to is helpful. Sometimes I just like to listen to my sister complain about her problems, too, because it helps me feel so much better about my life. I love my sister so much, but you'll find out as we get into this. She lives in Miami, and she's living her best life.
They cannot be more different.
We are polar opposites in every sense of the word. And hearing what goes on in her life No shade, Tasha. No shade. It just gives me a lot of perspective about the growth that I've done in my own life and just the friendships that I've worked really hard to cultivate in my life, and it just puts things into perspective. And I feel very grateful for that. Yeah. She also just makes me laugh because she's ridiculous sometimes, but
living vicariously through her.
Yeah, we are.
Because I don't want to say our lives are boring, but we don't live in Miami and we don't take bikini pics on the beach all day.
No. And I don't want to do that either. So that's why I live very vicariously.
As we're in our long sleeves and fucking...
And long pants and, yeah, totally covered. Not a V-neck in sight.
Well... That's it.
Yep, that's our first episode, everyone.
I hope you liked getting to know us a little bit more. And on this podcast, like we mentioned at the beginning, we're going to be covering a lot of different topics. You know, next time I could be covering a true crime case. Who knows? But yeah, I appreciate you guys tuning in and giving a shit about what we have to say.
Same.
You know.
Yeah.
And please subscribe if you would like to hear more.
Yeah.
Because we talk a lot.
We do.
And
tell us in the comments about what you want to hear us talk about, too, next time.
We will literally talk about anything.
Yes, we will. That's why this is called the Wandering Minds podcast. No conversation is off limits here. None. We probably won't talk about politics on the show, though. That'll probably be the only one.
No.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to cut that part out.
That's fine. Yeah.
From earlier.
So not even mentioned. Perfect.
Yeah.
Great.
All right, guys.
Catch us on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.